Stevie, 29, man. We're one short of 30.
30, I know.
Consistency.
Little Christmas special.
Yeah, we're heading up to it. We're going to have to do a Christmas special.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. What's been happening, man?
Same old. Just plodding along here in the factory. Liverpool winning. Wanderers losing. Life's normal.
We have a special guest today. We have Giancarlo Gallifuoco.
Yeah, you can say GG because the
GG.
podcast will be finished by the time I finish my name.
Welcome, brother. How's things?
Yeah, good, man. Good. I'm fortunate about this weekend's results, but still good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great having you in. Thanks for making a trip down. It's been a while.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to train here again, man. I miss you.
Can't wait to have you in. Thank you.
You miss Steve or the training?
Bit
That's
of
two
both.
different
Bit
things.
of both. Yeah.
That's good, man. So you've had like an interesting career so far, especially like youth level.
Yeah.
So you're only 25.
Yes.
So you still got, a good 8 years still to go in your career. You started off at what age?
My first pro deal was just before I turned 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. People get surprised I'm 25, I think, because I look 35. But basically, at 15, I went AIS.
Yeah.
And I kind of had this one game that sort of like sparked my overseas life, where we were in like the under-17s qualifying game, and I actually hadn't played all competition, and we were 2-0 down, and in the quarterfinal, and whoever won between us and UAE would qualify for the under-17s World Cup. And kind of as like a last-ditch effort, my coach just had a bit of a panic attack and put me up front, and never played striker before in my life. And we won 3-2, and I scored 2 goals.
Oh, wow.
So everybody thought that I was some sort of freak.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
Superstar.
but took advantage of it. And then I got a trial overseas, and then I went to Italy for a year, and then from there I ended up in England, and my whole life flipped on its head.
So where did you trial in Italy?
So I was at Lazio for 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then after that I went to Torino while they were in Serie B for 6 months, and then I was pretty happy to like be in Italy. My family's from Italy, and obviously I thought like being in second division was the perfect kind of like building block. And then I played one friendly match. We had like, it's called like Amichevole, where it's like a friendly match, but it has a crowd and like journalists come and watch. And I played centre mid, and we won 1-0. I set up the goal, and then there was like a big article on the paper said, Torino has a reinforcement from Australia, on this horrendous photo of me with like a front fringe.
We'll have to find it.
Yeah. And about 4 days later, I had a message from Massimo Luongo saying, hey, my technical director wants your number. And then 14 days later, I signed for Spurs.
Wow.
Yeah. And just there I was in London. So,
Crazy.
yeah.
Did you have to trial there at all? Or
Nah, so I came straight there, had a medical, and
Yeah.
then had a meeting with everyone, and then I did one training session under Harry Redknapp. He was there at the time, because he just wanted to like kind of give me the all clear. And it was just like an 11v11, and then signed.
How was that? Like, what was the feeling like that?
I felt like I couldn't believe it was happening at the time. Like it just kept it. I was in Italy. I was making about 250 euros a month. Yeah. And then they gave me a house and food. And then all of a sudden, I just passed the ball to Adebayor. And I was like, what just happened? That was it's just so surreal, man.
So what was your time at Tottenham like?
Really, really good. I think it was super educational for a lot of the business stuff that comes in football that I didn't really know. I think when I first went there, also being super humble and thinking like at the time, I don't know how I just got here. Yeah. I kind of just, the club would say jump, I'd say how high, I didn't question anything. And then I think as the years went on, and I criticized people in my reserve team for making decisions against the club, I kind of saw how it benefited them. For example, like I used to hammer Massimo and Harry Kane for going out on loan, and then at the end of the 3-year deal, they would come up. My offer and their offer, theirs was exponentially better because to them they'd played 75 first team games, and to me I'd just played reserve games. So they're like, well, you're still not proven,
Reserve,
and that for me was super educational. But it's the training ground there is Disneyland. There's nothing they don't have. It's ridiculous. and the training there is like an incredible standard. And when I look back, that's all I think about is a lot of lessons I learned and like the funnest footballing experience.
Yeah, you're a Premier League club.
Yeah.
A big Premier League club.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, we had, apart from the obvious, right? You expect us to have 12 pristine pitches and all that stuff. That's expected. Let's not even go into the extra stuff that we had, like buggies to drive from the change room to the pitch. It's like 40 meters away. Why do we need a buggy? We don't. But we got one, right? But then you have a pool, a treadmill that declines and like descends into the pool.
Yeah.
An ice bath that's like a walkable ice bath, and then a walkable spa, a sauna. That's the bottom level. Then you get up, you have a whole level for a gym. You have an inside dome. Then we had a PlayStation room, a Wii room, an Xbox room, pool, table tennis, a Pac-Man table, a cinema room, and a sleep room.
Oh, wow.
And now I haven't even got to the physio, the medical, it was ridiculous. That we had an eating place where the chef had to make you what you asked. So when players were pissed off and they'd come in at 2 p.m. and say, I want French toast with yogurt and da-da-da-da-da-da, he'd have to make it. And he'd go like, give me 20 minutes. And he'd just sit there. And it was like the best of the best, man. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Is this the one in White Webs? Going down like Cruise Hill, near Cruise Hill?
It's like Enfield.
Yeah. This, my wife's uncle. So
Isn't
it's
it?
around the corner from
Oh,
us. So I've driven past it. There's like security guards at the front.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. They're pretty strict on that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was incredible, man.
So who were the players that were there at that time?
When I first came there, it was like the Modric era. Then because I signed in Jan, then he left and Harry Redknapp got sacked, and then it kind of was like Adebayor falling out of favour with Villas-Boas, then the Eriksson coming and embarrassing the crap out of me. Aaron Lennon,
It was Gareth Bale era.
Gareth Bale was there.
Yeah.
I was there this season that Gareth bailed.
Yeah.
You know, and that was kind of a major part to Villas-Boas kind of staying in for as long as he was, because he wasn't doing that well, but Gareth Bale was saving.
He was bailing him out.
Yeah, for lack of and then with Villas-Boas, when he was there, he kind of he wanted to reset things, so he handpicked a couple Resi boys. We went straight to the first team. We did the preseason tour and stuff, and he binned a couple of the big boys, and that just brewed behind the scenes. And then like 7 or 8 months in, when results weren't going our way, you had like a congregation of highly paid, big CVs gunning for him. So you could kind of tell that the writing was on the wall, you know? And then he got sacked. Tim Sherwood went up, and then that kind of swapped. Then Adebayor came to the forefront. You know, he started doing the salute and bagging goals, and he's a good bloke, love him. But that was kind of the end for us young boys, and then we kind of all faded to the wayside.
So how'd you find that, being so young, obviously in another country, then with that caliber of players in sessions and that? Did you feel that you were able to compete with them? Were you out of your depth? Like, how did you find it as a youngster?
Initially, way out of my depth. Initially, I think probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done, but I think I called my dad. So it was like 2 days before my 18th birthday, so I was definitely enough of a man to not do this. And I was balling. I was like, Dad, I just went to training, I didn't touch a ball. Like, this is like, everybody's on fast forward. This guy's way too strong, he's too fast, and like, I'd come from Italy where I was like a giant. And that, all of a sudden, you got a 6'4" black guy who's just bodying me, and I'm like, oh, like, I just reality check. So at the beginning, it was really, really confronting. And then I was kind of fortunate that when Villas-Boas came, he made me a centre back. And I found the game slowed down because it was all in front of me. I had to start smacking protein shakes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I started packing on as much muscle as I could. And then I started to become accustomed to the game and all that stuff. And that was good. But
That's a crazy story.
yeah, man. But there was like what I was telling you, like there was moments where the new signing comes and you have like hope, in the sense that like a new signing comes and you think like, oh, I can do what he does, and then there's moments when a new signing comes and you think this guy's from a different planet. Like he's ridiculous. He's unmarkable. And I was telling him that there was a story. The first day that Christian Eriksen came, I was still like with the first team at the time, and they were trying to get his fitness up. So they said, "I'll stay back with Gigi and just do 1v1s." And 1v1s is one thing I'm decently good at. So I'm like, okay, like I say low, shift him to the side he doesn't want to go on, and then kind of lunge. He like started tearing me open for solid 10 minutes straight, and I could not touch him. And then every time I'd lunge, he'd nutmeg me. Every time I do it, he'd shift. And I was just like looking, and the assistant coach was looking at me, and he's loving life because he's thinking, I just signed him. I'm thinking my confidence in the bin right now. Like, I'm done. And there's those kind of moments where you think, that's why these guys get paid the big bucks, man. They're ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Eriksen is a ridiculous player.
Oh, freak, man.
Yeah. It's lucky it wasn't some guy that just faded away.
Yeah, I know. The story would be so good.
But your confidence wouldn't be as good either now. But you look at one of the best in the Premier League. That's quite the story to have. So you're there for 2.5 years, and then you moved to Swansea.
Yeah.
So what happened there that you moved across?
So we won the 21s league.
Yep.
And because of a lot of the people that I was saying were out on loan, I got to play a lot in the Resi League. And so Swansea were kind of trying to rebuild, and they were trying to push their youth. So they started like trying to sign big signings from the Resi League. And so they signed me, and they actually signed another Aussie as their striker, James Demetrio. He'd been scoring for Nottingham Forest in the 21s. So they signed a couple of us. And when they signed, I thought I was being like learning my lessons of the past. So I was like, listen, I'm pushing I want to play first team football. And I'm like, brother, don't worry about it. We got you. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I come and I start, and there's 21s league. We start with a bang. We smack the first 3-4 teams, like 3-4-0. We're getting all this press because Swansea's never really done that well in the 21s league. And I have a meeting with the chairman, Hugh Jenkins, and the general director, and he goes like, listen, you're doing well. First team coach is watching. Just keep doing what you're doing. And it's now in hindsight, it's one of those lessons that I say, but I was just so eager to please. So I was like, okay. And I would nod my head, and they'd go like, you're going to train with the first team, but just play. Just play with the 21s. And then after a year of basically doing that, we won the league, which was cool. I got to captain, and I was grateful for that. And at the end of the season, when I went into my negotiations for my extension, they were saying to me, well, they've actually changed the reserves from under 21s to under 23s. So, like, technically, you can just keep playing. And I was like, yeah, but you told me first team football. And they're like, yeah, but, everything's going good. And, we'll give you a 15% increase on this. And you'll get this incentive. And da-da-da-da. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I just thought, man, I'm 21, turning 22. I don't have enough first team football. As nice as it is to have been where I was was talking to my agent, and I was like pushing, and I was with the national team at the time. And Aurelio Vidmar just said, well, would you think about going to the A-League? And so then it just took a drastic turn.
Yeah. And you joined Victory.
And Melbourne Victory, yeah.
So how was that? Especially that transition. You're going from state-of-the-art facilities to A-League.
Listen, like, A-League has, and I was like number one to think like it was drastically below par to where I was. And Melbourne Victory actually showed me that it wasn't as far away.
You did go to a good team.
Yeah. It was a good team. They were off the back of I think they just won the league, and then the first month I got there, we won the FFA Cup, and it was like a good team and stuff like that. And I just kind of thought, with my attitude and Muscat's game player attitude, I thought he'll love me. I like to work hard. I like to get stuck in. I'll do whatever I have to do. Yeah, I love to kick people. Just try not to get reds. And I want to win, and he'll like that. And unfortunately, this happens in everybody's career. But I went there, played 2 or 3 games, and then I think either he thought maybe I liked to play too much from the back, or whatever it was. He just didn't see me fit for the team. And then that was like my first time really battling, like, this person is not going to play me. You know, this person doesn't like me. And so that unfortunately didn't go as well as I planned it to. There was all these clauses in my contract for an extension and da-da-da-da-da. And it got to about 6 months in, and we sat down. I just looked at him and I said, "This isn't working, is it?" He was like, "No." So I knew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was there any conversations before that to say, this is what I want you to work on, this is what I'm not liking, or anything?
So, I always say this to you, you know how busy I am. I would go in there like every week and go, "Tell me what to do."
Yeah.
Tell me what to do. And he'd go, "No, you're doing everything right." Like, and I'd be like, "No, just tell me." And he'd go, "No, just keep doing what you're doing." I'll be like, okay, so I go to training, I'll run around like a headless chalk, and then and I'll be in the gym, and then I was like, you know, racking my brain, like, is it this, is it that? And then I started like stepping everything up. I used to do this thing where when we play at Amy, the gym faces where they walk to line up, or where they go to warm up, right? So they tell the people who aren't in the squad, you rock up 20 minutes before the game, watch the game, and then come into the change room after. I would rock up when they would rock up, go onto the treadmill, shift the treadmill to the window so that he would watch me, I would run for the whole game, right? Just dying, but just trying to show you, like, I'm so keen
to play.
And, you know, first week he would, like, look at me, and then second week he would, like, look at me, and then, like, third, fourth, fifth, sixth week, he would just pretend to be on the phone, walk past it, and I was like, he's made his choice, you know?
Well.
No matter what I do, he's made his choice. And I don't know what it was. And I'm sure maybe he probably doesn't even know. He just thought this doesn't fit with him, and then...
Who was ahead of you there at the time?
Broxham was playing centre-back.
Yeah.
And it was Broxham. Ansel was, like, in and out of injury, so not really. And then Matthew Delpierre, who for me is probably the best centre-back. One of the best.
So they signed you as a centre-back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then... so I thought when he signed, he was talking about me and Matthew. And then... and then Broxham just kind of shifted in there, and he's no disrespect to him either. This guy's played 300 games in the A-League. He's a fantastic player, but it just didn't work, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So then so how long did you stay there? The whole season, or just?
So
6 months?
I stayed there for a season.
Yeah.
And then that was probably like the lowest point, man. After that, I think I was like 22, and I had to like. 21, 22, and I had to like reset everything, man. Like all of a sudden, everything that I had done, every club would say the same thing to me. We'd go like, "Yeah, it's good in theory, man, but you haven't played."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, but I won this 21s league." And I'm like, "That's not first team."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, but I scored there." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not first team. That doesn't count." You know. So it was like my ego had to take a big hit, because like obviously. You have to go out of the glitz and glam, and you have to go out of you're not going to make the kind of money that you're accustomed to and all that stuff like that. But my agent just kind of said to me, "Listen, there's a place that I can get you where if you want to play games, you're going to play games. You're going to play them thick and thin, Saturday, Tuesday, every week. But the pitches are going to suck. The pay is going to suck. The crowds are going to suck. But you'll play. And I was like, and he was like, "Listen, man, it's either that or you're going to have to take like a deal in like Scandinavia and that's where you're going to have to try to restart." And I was like, "No, I wanted to play in England." And so I was like, "All right." And I went there, and I remember I signed 1 year at Torquay. That's 5th tier. And it's like the last tier of professional football. And like without getting into super details, you're accustomed to a certain apartment, certain card, certain thing. And like... all of a sudden, the car's like a Citroen C1, and the apartment is like a shoebox, and you know, and all of a sudden you're telling your missus like, "We probably shouldn't eat out." And
so your missus traveled with you as well.
Soldier, man. She went through the good part and the pretty shite part. But and then I went there, and it was like that was like football at its most English. Is the nicest way I can say it. Like the pitches were bad, but that's fine. You can get past that. But like you got 3,000-4,000 people crowd, and they want to cuss you out the whole game.
Yeah.
Like always with a pint in their hand, and they're like, like the English stadiums, they're like a meter from the sideline, and they're just in your ear. And it was about winning. It's about winning. This like these people, if they're making, I don't know, £1,000 a week, this is all they have. This £1,000 pays the kids' food and so they will break you, hit you, smack you, do everything. So I was down in those leagues for 2 years. I played like just shy of 90 games or something. Wow. And that jump, all of a sudden people were talking to me like, oh, you're an experienced player, which is what I wanted. Yeah. But I learn't all the horrible parts of football. I learned like, it's the 70th minute, you're up 1-0, you get the ball and you smack it to the corner. So it doesn't go out. Because that 30 seconds gets us closer to the end of the game. And I never thought like that. I came from like, Tottenham was like Barcelona. You want to pass everywhere out of everything, and Swansea was the same. And then, so super educational. So grateful once it was finished. But yeah, a grinding 2 years. Yeah.
Was it really hit to that level?
Oh my God, man. I remember signing and the coach coming out and having to justify how small I was for a centre back. Yeah.
How big were they?
Huge, man.
Yeah.
And here I am thinking, like, not like in an arrogant way, but I've always thought I'm a pretty big dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one that you send to hit someone. And this guy's going, oh, I know he's pretty small, but like, and I'm thinking like, what have I just signed to, man? You know, but in the end, then all of a sudden, the second year, so I signed 1 year at Torquay United, and they were like a relegation battle team. And then the second year I signed for Dover, and they were like a top 6 team. And after Dover, I played like half the year in centre back, half the year in centre mid. All of a sudden, teams were starting to know me better. My CV was better, and then I started to feel more like, okay, I'm seeing the benefits of why I came here. Where that first year was kind of like,
why am I here?
Yeah. You know, on the long bus rides, thinking, oh my God.
Did the conditions improve in the second?
Not really. Not really. Not drastically. But I think I just got better at budgeting and used to the cold.
Those clubs are very community orientated, aren't they? Especially the lower down that you go. How is that? Like, are they areas like Dover and Torquay?
Yeah, so Torquay is a city and Dover's a port city. But England's really, so is Italy, but they're really tribal with their team. Like, you're from Grimsby, you can't go for anywhere but Grimsby. It's just the way it goes. You know, and you would be at Dover on a freezing cold day, and you know what football we're about to play, and you know the team we're about to verse, but the same 3,000-4,000 people would come out every single time, and then they'd talk about other teams as well, like, oh, did you see the United game? But my first team is Dover because I'm from Dover, and that's one thing about Europe that I love more than ever. Or like, you're in I would think it's 5th tier. You would go to the newsagent and there would be a Premier League newspaper, and then underneath it would be Championship, and then underneath it would be League 1, League 2, and then all the way to the conference. Its own paper, not a page. A paper. And they would have every interview with every coach, and people would buy it, and you'd think like, man, it's crazy. Like, they just love their football there, like no other place I've seen. And just to answer your question, man, it's just real tribal. Like, if you're from there, you have to go.
How was that, like walking the streets and things like that?
Yeah, sick. Yeah. Sick when you're winning.
Not when you lose.
Not when you lose.
Come
here. When you lose, it's not great. But
you just don't go out.
You just stay home. It was good for the budget, but the second year we at Dover, we were first till February, so that was awesome. You're going around and people buying you coffee and giving you free burgers, and in England it's a lot of free pints and stuff like that, and you're loving life, and people want to come take photos and stuff like that. And it's so surreal because obviously my own misinterpretation, but like when I was coming from victory and thing, I was thinking like, man, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. But to these people from their town, that's the pinnacle. So they would like, oh man, will you come to our gym and like do this because like you're from Dover? And I'm thinking like, okay, bro, I will. But, like, do you want someone from like a better team? But yeah, so it's awesome.
So you did that, and then after that season wrapped up, You went to Italy.
Yeah.
Serie C.
Yeah.
How was
So
that?
this was supposed to be like my kind of my return to glory, man. Like I wanted to go back to Italy. I wanted to play football again. I said to my dad, like, listen, I'm so grateful for what England's given me, but now that I've had a taste of midfield again, I kind of want to play in a more ball-playing team. You know, like in the conference, they saw me as like a grinder, and I wanted to do a little bit more. My dad was like, yeah, cool, I get that. And so I started talking, and at one point, I was like thinking about if I wanted to go the Asian round. I was speaking to some like Asian and Middle Eastern teams and da-da-da. And then this Italian team came up into Serie C, and they said, like, listen, we want to give you a 2-year deal. All the perks you want. Like, they said, we're going to give you an apartment in the city, this car. And they showed me, like, a photo of the car. Nice car. And they're like, this amount of wage. We're going to help your partner with this. We're going to give you this restaurant you can eat at for free. And I was thinking, I'm doing the math. And I'm like, okay, if I save that much, put that, I'm okay. I'm in a good position. Like, I'm starting to creep back. You know, like, obviously, those last 2 years financially weren't the best. So, like, now I can start to save a bit more. And I'm thinking, okay, 2 years be nice. You know, just put my missus through that 2 years of freaking, you know. So I was like, all right, cool. So I signed on the dotted line, and I'm buzzing. My dad is so ecstatic because I'm going back to Italy. He's like, oh, that's where you need to be. You know, classic him. And I get there, and then it was basically alarm bells from day dot. Like, I went to the chairman's office, and he went, like, signed a contract. Oh, you know, you're such a big signing for us. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Like, I'm thinking, like, oh, these guys are treating me really good. And he's like, oh, by the way, and I can speak Italian well, but not, like, I can't articulate, you know? So he goes, so, yeah, and then just before you go, can you just sign this? And I was like, what's this? He's like, oh, no, it's for your apartment. Just make sure that the apartment's in your name. I was like, yeah, but you're paying the apartment. He's like, yeah, no, just put the apartment in your... And I was like, listen, I can't really read Italian, so I'm not really comfortable signing this. He's like, no, everybody else signed it, man. Just sign it. Anyway, I'm like, no. And I shift. And I was thinking, that was weird. Anyway, first month of preseason starts, pay comes. It's missing about 30%. Okay. I'm still in a hotel at the time. Second month comes, no pay. Car doesn't turn up either. Alarm bells. Third month comes. They put me into an apartment, not the apartment that they showed me. They give me a car, not the car that they showed me, right? And the third month comes, and I still haven't gotten paid. So I go in, I'm starting to argue with the chairman a little bit, and he's like, listen, it's just a money-moving problem, like da-da-da-da. And because we had about 9 or 10 foreigners, I'm translator for all the problems because I can speak English and speak Italian. And, you know, like French people, they'll know a little bit of English. This person knows a little bit of English, so I'm kind of having to... So I'm sitting in on all the meetings when this guy's saying, you have to tell him that they haven't paid my da-da-da-da. They haven't done this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, then it gets to about the third or fourth month, and I go to the restaurant to eat, and they go, you can't eat here tonight. And I was like, why? And they were like, oh, they haven't paid, so none of you can eat. I was like, okay. So now I'm explaining to the French one and the Portuguese one and this one. I'm like, hey, sorry, guys, food's... And they're like, well, we don't have money because he hasn't paid us the money. So, like, I'm not dipping into my savings when you guys should have worked. You should have paid me my blah, blah, blah. And then all this starts to happen. Then the car comes eventually. And the car that I was supposed to get was like a sedan, nice car. I get like an absolute tiny box that's like one of the wheel cap things is off, and like, you know, you have to kick it twice.
Different color doors.
One of those ones. And I'm like,
the thing at the front.
Yeah, you know? And I'm thinking, this is not what I signed up for. So I was started to talk to like the PFA and stuff like that, and they said basically once it gets to 3 months, you can leave. Yeah. So I walk into the chairman's office and I said, hey, listen, like, if you don't pay me my next pay, I'm gonna leave. And he kind of like had this like reaction, like, how can you say that to me when I've given you what I've given you? Like, you know, you play. And I was thinking, brother, that doesn't pay my bills, man. You know, like, I can't go up to the electricity utility company and go, hey, bro, but I played. So, like, if you want to just, you know, that's...
Here's my shirt.
Yeah, you know, like, So we played a game and we won, and I was on like an ultimate high, and my partner was real good through all this. Like she would say, like just concentrate on the football, like we'll be fine. This is what we have savings for, and I was more the like mathematical one. That was like, no, that makes no sense. And I got home. I'm like, me and Mrs. like we're buzzing, and I get I'm like, open the door. It's my landlord and his son in humongous coats. So like the silhouette was, I thought I was about to get rolled. And I was like, everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I need money for the rent. And I was like, no, I don't pay. The club pays. And he went, no. They said you pay. And I was like, oh, meet me here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And we'll go. He comes back the next morning. I drive him in the boxcar to the stadium. I said, you guys pay him. If you don't pay him today, I'm leaving. They're like, oh, no, you said. And I was like, all right, call my missus, said, book a flight. And we bounced.
Yeah, wow.
And my head was flying. Like, I didn't think of step 2.
Yeah.
I was just so angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm done. And then that was copping abusive calls left, right, and center. And I wasn't, like, I didn't try and grass them up. I didn't talk to any journalists or anything. Yeah. And that was kind of my threat, to be honest. I said, like, I won't speak to any journalists. Just give me my money and let me go.
Yeah.
No, like, oh, we're not going to get in, blah, blah, blah. So got on a flight and just turned my phone off and said, I don't want to think about football. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to go home. It was just about to be Christmas. I'm like, it's my birthday in 2 weeks. Let's just go home, switch off. And I was so, like, cosmic karma, man. Like, so lucky, bro. Because I went home. I did nothing for like 3 weeks. I switched off. And then just as I started to feel like, you know what, I want to train again, man. I miss football. I get a call from JP and my whole life flipped on its head. Yeah. So like, I don't know if that's like God or just pure luck or something like that. But that whole 6 months of
hell.
Yeah, so much crap. And like I'm saying, I'm trying to wrap the story up because there were so many horrendous stories, man. Like, because you're sitting in with other people's meetings.
Yeah, you're hearing
like,
all of it.
And I'm hearing everything, man.
Yeah.
And like, there's some boys who've got like families back in Africa, and they're saying to me like, tell him I need money to send home. Yeah. And I have to translate that. Yeah. And then I have to translate back when the big like mafia boss owner goes, well, tell him I'm not paying him. And I'm like, oh man, hey bro, he said he's an asshole and he doesn't want to give you his money.
Were you the first one to go?
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after me, like 7 people in the next month.
Yeah, well.
Because I think I kind of, they thought, well.
Did you ever end up getting the money?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. So I was fortunate. I got everything back.
You hear a lot don't, and just like the experience was that bad, they just want to get out of there.
Yeah. And to be honest, I would have taken the loss. Yeah. I would have taken it happy. Yeah. Because I just didn't want to be there, man. Oh my God, man. And it was a shame because I got like a really jaded view of Italy. Yeah. Where I'd loved it to that point. But they were so old school, and it could be just the town as well. Like Rieti is a small town outside of Rome, not a massive population. A very old city, maybe a bit of an older mentality. But like I come from Australia. Yeah. With 3 people with 3 different ethnic backgrounds at this table. Yeah. And like then I'd gone there and they'd go like, oh, look at this, I don't know, French or this, and I'm like, bro, you can't say that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say that. He's just a normal person, man. Like, for me that was so weird. And they would chastise me. They'd go like, what are you, Italian or a foreigner? I don't know, man. I'm just like a guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that hard, bro.
Just a person.
Yeah, but glad I got out of there. And finally got that over and done with, man.
Did you play games, right? At least.
So that was the fortunate thing. Yeah. Man. In the like on paper, I played every game. Yeah. Captained 5 games. Scored a goal. Yeah. I was the person who scored the winning goal for the first game they'd ever won in the Serie C.
Yeah, nice.
So at least when you look out, you go, oh, he played 17 games, scored a goal, did his job. Yeah. So that I'm super grateful for, because I know there were some people who didn't. Yeah. And that's much. And they still had to go through that. And then, it's really hard to find a club, and football can be ruthless like that. So I'm super, super grateful.
What division are they in now?
Most of them, a lot of the players that left either went back to the club they came from, but a couple of them had to drop pretty drastically, which is so unfortunate because that's just.
Where's the club at now?
They're still Serie C.
Yeah, it's still Serie C. I think they're above the relegation zone or something.
That wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
They don't have many foreigners anymore, though.
Yeah.
They've got 3 African guys. They'll probably leave pretty quickly after hearing this podcast.
I won't link them to this podcast.
So you got the Wanderers call. You're buzzing. You're a Sydney boy, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So West Sydney.
Yeah. So it was also I was also buzzing because I actually have a really good rapport with JP. JP's like a super ruthless gaffer, and I work so well under that because I want to win. So you tell me what to do, who to hit, where to shoot, and I'll do it. And he's kind of like that. So he called me. I said, hey, do you want to come? We have an injury. You have to pass a fitness test because I know you haven't been training. But if you pass the fitness test, like we're going to need you literally for Friday against Brisbane. And I was like, yeah, done. He's like, are you fit? And I was like, yeah. So I came in like 3-4 days later, and he came up to me like, which was really nice because it kind of calmed me down. But he just came up to me like before the session started and kind of said like, go do what you always do. And I was like, yeah. And I just came out and I think I smacked Bom Johan and Bridgie in the first 30 seconds. And Marcus was like, yeah, I like this person. I just tried to work real hard. And after that first session, I was really lucky. The gaffer came up to me and was like, yeah, we like you. We're going to get your paperwork done as quickly as possible. And then 5, 6 days later, I came on for the last 30 minutes against Brisbane. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, really, really lucky, dude. Really lucky.
Yeah, because they brought you on as an injury replacement, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was like 10 or 12 days of like how they were going to do it or what the paperwork was going to be and da-da-da. And then, it was for Geordie O'Doherty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And then season finishes. How was it going into a team that was struggling? Like last year, they were struggling. What was like the dressing room like and the atmosphere?
Yeah.
I suppose it would have been better than what it was in Italy.
Yeah. I think like I came in and I was, especially from where I was, it was really nice to see like the boys got along so well because even though the results weren't going they weren't going well at the time.
Yep.
The team was really close. Really, really close, man. I'm not trying to disrespect Marcus Babbel's recruiting technique or whatever, but I was actually surprised so many of them left because when I got there, they were so close as a unit. Like Bridgie and Tarek end up feeling like your dads, you know, and like you all really want to play together. Even Bob Johan ended up like he was real close with people in the change room. The change room was really, really good. So when I got there, it was not as negative a feel as I was expecting. And then the first game, we smacked Brisbane 4-1. So the vibe was buzzing. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then we kind of started to go on a roll. We beat Melbourne City 3-0. And it was I think it was my first start or something like that. And I was like lucky that as I came, the kind of vibe was relatively positive. And then it kind of took a turn for the worse when it was like, I think about 2 rounds before the end of the season. And the gaffer took me aside and said, hey, listen, we want to offer you another contract. We want you to stay. And like, we like you, want you as part of our plan. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. I love Western Sydney. Like, I love the club. So I was like, this is sick. Like, team I've liked my whole life. And then you go back into the change room and boys are like, oh, what was the gaffer talking to you about? I'm like, oh, Buzzy, man. Like, openly, like, oh, he just said, like, he's thinking about having me stay. And they're like, oh, he didn't tell me that. And he's like, oh, he actually told me that, he told me I was going to leave. And he said he wasn't recruiting and he wasn't telling answers yet. And then that
Yeah.
once that's and once that,
Joking.
it's like and once that started to happen, then it was like, oh, and then like every day it would be like, oh, has he spoken to you? Has he spoken to you? And then you're going into a game,
Yeah.
and like half the team thinks the person who's telling me to run doesn't even want me.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to Central Coast, ironically. And we went to Central Coast, and the 2 days before that, he'd gone and told 2 or 3 players in the team, you're not part of my plan next year.
Yeah.
By the way, you're starting on Saturday. And
Go play for the badge.
Yeah. And so we just imploded. The game started. I think Central Coast scored like a free kick. I think pretty sure Matt Simon smacked it right through the wall. And we just like, you just got people like, you're looking around, you're thinking, well, he doesn't even want to be here. But rightly so. Like emotionally, he doesn't want to be here because he feels hurt. You know, he feels like the guy just said to him, no matter what you do, you can score 6 goals today, I don't want you.
Yeah.
And it kind of just started to. The vibe that last like 2 weeks kind of plummeted, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I was walking around with like a chip on my shoulder because I was like, oh, it's all right. He talked to me. And I was like,
I'm staying, everyone.
You were the one that caused it.
So Wanderers fans aren't going to be too happy with you now.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I was happy to stay, and we played the Central Coast loss, and then the next game was Melbourne victory. I started again, and we had his first official offer to me, and at the same time Central Coast had approached, and I said and another team had approached, which I won't mention because I don't want to piss you off, and I kind of let everybody know who had approached.
Yeah.
And I said, but obviously I'm at Western Sydney. So that was, at the time, was sort of my number one. And so Western Sydney approached and they said, listen, we want to keep you on injury extension till the end of the year. And I was like, okay. I've just spent like 7 years overseas, man. Like, love your club, sick. Want to play here, like how it works. But that makes no sense to me as like a family man.
Yeah.
So allow me to set up my life. I don't care monetarily. I get that maybe you want me to prove myself or whatever. But I want a longer contract. And I said, and unfortunately, on the table are other teams with longer contracts.
Yeah.
So I write this whole email and I think like I've articulated it in the most humble way possible. I'm not trying to. This isn't trying to be a negotiation tactic.
Trying to be diplomatic.
I'm trying. And about like 6 or 7 days go by, and they just resent me the same email. And I was like, okay, that is my answer. Yeah. So then I started talking to the other teams, and when I spoke to the gaffer, Staj, he had a bar from the length of the contract. He had a plan, and like this whole podcast is filled with how tumultuous some times of my career have been, and like I was just seeing stability. I was seeing like one journey where I was like, okay, you're gonna get me here. You're gonna help me improve on this. You're gonna help me exploit this attribute, and I'm gonna be this character, and that's what I want to be. Like I want to eventually be a leader, a captain, a mainstay, a six who people think he's the rock in the middle. He steers the ship. And the way the gaffer was talking to me was like, I want to coach you into being that. And that just seemed like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. And that was it.
And that was it.
And so how are you finding it now with Staj and the Mariners this season?
Yeah, loving it, man. Bar from the little hiccup with the injury, I feel like each game I'm slowly becoming exactly what me and the gaffer spoke about. Like even learning under like Matt Simon, that's an absolute vet. He's one of the best captains. His attitude does not change starting 11 bench or in the stands, injured, not injured. He's ridiculously like not just professional, he wants the team to win above everything else. Yeah. And like I love learning under him because that's like I'm 25, but it's eventually what I want to be. I want to be a leader. And it's nice the gaffer gives me a lot of talking roles and structural roles, and I've been loving developing under him, but obviously it took like a 14-week gap because of that injury, and that was kind of a hard time just because I felt like momentum was flying from last year, and then I got into preseason and we were doing so well, and then we smashed Maitland and everything was good, and then 14 weeks on the sideline.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big chunk of time.
Yeah. It was so annoying.
That was only half a preseason, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it was also like it was annoying because at the beginning it was like I got misdiagnosed a couple of times, so like your hopes would go and then it would drop and then it'd be really high and then it would drop. So like in the build up to the game I was complaining of groin soreness, and they were like, "Oh, have you had this before?" I was like, "Yeah, like I'll be alright, just give me some painkillers."
You just got the flu.
Yeah, it is the usual. And they go, "Listen, just play the game and then we'll give you 2-3 days off." And I was like, "Yeah, done, smash it." And I'm like the worst at that because I'll never say no. Like, yeah. Anyway, 42 minutes in, I'm on the floor screaming my head off. And they give me a painkiller as soon as I come off the pitch. And then subsides, and I'm sitting on the bus and my missus calls me and she's like, "I've never seen you go down like that. Are you okay?" And I'm like saying in Italian, like, because I'm on the bus and everyone's around me, like, "Babe, I think I exaggerated. Like, I can't feel anything."
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm sitting up normal. Like, I feel really bad. Like, maybe I exaggerated. She's like, "All right, well, listen, just come home, sleep, and then we'll see how you feel in the morning." So I go to sleep, waking up a little bit as the pain's subsiding. And then I remember waking up and I'm like lying down in the bed and I have to go to the bathroom and I'm trying to crunch and I was like shaking the bed. I couldn't crunch forward. And like, I'm like getting teary eyed because I'm scared and I'm going like, Olivia. She's like, "What?" And I was like, I can't get up. I need you to help me. And then she like pushes me up and I sat at the edge of it and I'm like, what have I done, man? What have I done?
Wow.
And that was straight to the MRI. And then there was 2-3 weeks where they thought like it was a hernia. It was just a groin tear. And then finally about 4 or 5 weeks in, once the second radiologist had seen it, there's like 3 groin muscles. I tore all 3.
Wow.
Tore my hip flexor and then I tore my abdomen. So that's why like I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? Because that just activates as soon as you crunch, move, shift.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was frightening. But eventually it's
And it took them 4 to 5 weeks to figure that out.
Yeah, because the first I think probably my fault as well because I was so eager to get results and like just give me when am I back? Tell me when am I back? What have I got to do? Do I have to have surgery? Do I have to? And I think they kind of rushed it a little bit. And the first guy was like, "No, it's just two tears." And he was like, "It's just
Yeah.
No, it was like it's just 2 tears in your groin." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, like you'll be fine." And I was like, "Okay." And I started doing rehab, and the physio would be like, "Can you jog?" And I'd be like, "Nah, man." And he'd be like, "How fast can you go?" And I'd be like at this weird walking hobble thing, like kind of leaning over. And he was like, "Nah, there's something wrong. We need to do another scan." And then,
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's
not
scary.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
you're meant to be a professional athlete, getting the best kind of medical,
Yeah.
professional, diagnosis, and it's misdiagnosed, and it takes 6 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah. And my physio, Dave, is so good, man. Like he's so good and he spends so much time with me. And to be honest, like I don't actually shift much blame on them. I shift a lot of blame on myself just because I pushed them so hard because I wanted, like they were telling me like, "Relax, man, it's preseason, don't worry, we'll get this." And I was like, no, I need to get right. I need to do this. I need to be ready for the Brisbane game because I was thinking about the FFA Cup and I was like, I need to do it. And I think unfortunately my pestering kind of forced a really quick diagnosis, and I think that kind of stitched them up a little bit. So I don't want to put too much blame on them. I think it was a little bit my fault.
Well, you took all the blame there. All right. Steve, you got some questions?
Oh, we do have a couple of questions. Talk us through your goal, mate. Are you claiming it?
100%.
I'm claiming it too, bro. I've seen it.
I still admit it was the worst goal, but it's still a goal.
So I've seen that, and then it goes, Gallifuoco scored. I'm like, sick. I'll go have a look. I had a look. I rated the celebration, bro, so we'll take that.
Cheers, man.
Is that your first A-League one?
That's my first A-League one, yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah. I'm not, I think it's 12th goal in like 150 games, so it's a bit stiff. But I need to score
That's
some more goals.
Still okay for someone that plays so deep.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. A lot of them are from the boys. One was, who is the best roommate?
Oh. Well.
And they said if you get it wrong, then they're gonna smash her.
Well, for me, it's Foxy, Dylan Fox. Yeah, I know that's not the right answer, but it's my answer.
That wasn't at Mariners, but
Well, you mean at Western Sydney?
no, it wasn't West Sydney. Who's the best ever roommate?
Oh, as in my whole career.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant now.
No, not now.
Oh, okay. No. Then I have some better answers. Sorry, Fox. Okay. Oh, man. Best ever. Probably have to say Adebayor, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some roommate, but I'm sure they'll tell you this. No, Steve Ugarkovic asked to see if you get it
Oh.
wrong.
No, he's national team. He's special. He's outside of the loop.
Yeah. All right. So
What would Adebayor do?
But he would let me use all his stuff.
Mhm.
So like I had a Valentine's Day and he let me drive his G-Wagon
Just-
just to pick up my missus and look cool
Yeah.
for like a day. He would like as a roomie, whatever he'd have, like if he would go like, probably shouldn't say that, but if he would go like betting, he'd let me come and just let me, and like we're talking about is a pretty drastic financial difference, you know? So I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. He was dope.
anyone you know that look like Sea Breezy?
Oh, Mario, I cannot believe you asked that question. You know what? I'll give it to him because I call him Breezy in training. So yeah, Mario Chabal. Except when he shaves and then he looks sort of Mexican. So
I agree.
yeah, when he shaves and leaves his moustache, he turns into Enrique.
How much better is your brother at you than football? I mean, better at football than you.
Much better. I'll give him that. Much better until I was 11, and then I absolutely blasted him.
All right, some legit questions now. What did you learn at your time at Torquay and Dover?
How to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
To do every single thing you can.
Yep.
From breaking the ref's balls to slowing the game down to doing all the nasty off the ball stuff to make your striker hate you. That was what I learned from there.
Yeah. Good answer. Where do you see the Mariners in the next 3 years?
Well, hopefully with me in it, and creeping back to where they should be. You know, I feel like it's sometimes when people like in interviews they say like the drastically obvious answer, and like I'm not saying we're gonna smash the league, but I think that if we continue to incrementally get better like we are this year, and start putting those things back on the board like clean sheets and beating Perth away and beating Western United and creeping back up, and we can start to be a team that people see consistently around the top six, like around the 6th mark, then that would be what I hope for where Central Coast is 3 years from now.
What is the standout moment in your career so far?
All right. Okay, so it's a bit of a tie. That under 17s moment that I was telling you, my mum and dad were there. So I hadn't played the whole competition. My parents wanted to fly it to watch it, and I begged them not to. I was like, please don't. Like, I'm not going to play. Like, save your money. And then for them to come watch me, there was a crowd of 33,000.
Yeah, wow.
You know?
Wow. Yeah.
They were all for the other team.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I heard my mum celebrating when I scored. But, you know, it was that was definitely like an incredible moment for me. And then my best friend flew over to England to watch me play, and I scored. The game he came, and he jumped the fence around to the pitch.
Did he get cracked off?
Yeah, and he got hammered for it by the security. But that's definitely a major standout for me.
Yeah. That's a goal
awesome.
one.
Yeah.
So did he get to you at least
Yeah.
before they dragged him off?
Yeah.
Did you go, he's all right,
And then like we were all hugging, and I see like the security's arm, and I was like,
and then just how was the football in England?
yeah, Good, man. I think nowadays English football is so it's been so like financially, like it's been given so much money that you can't even say it has one style. It has like, you have Man City to Burnley to Grimsby to this is it. The football in England now, there's not one way it's done. Like you can't. Like I feel like back in the day, my dad or something, or like older ballers would say, like, English teams, they play us. You can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
You got Jurgen Klopp, who plays different to Pep, who plays different to Jose, but because
it's evolved a lot.
Yeah, it's so multicultural. Can you say in its football? So I loved it because I felt like that for me. England was the university of football. You have all the best professors in the world, and you proper learn the game.
Yeah. Who are the big ones you played against in that 23s?
Players were in my team, to be honest, man, because the big boys, we at Spurs, we were smacking everyone. So we had, our team was a joke, man. We had Harry Kane up front, so it's already a good start. Tom Carroll, Massimo Luongo, and me in midfield.
Yeah.
On the right, we had a guy called Iago Falque. He went to the Serie A, played for Roma. Freak. Right back, we had Ryan Fredericks, that's West Ham. And then centre back, we had Grant Hall, that's QPR. Dominic Ball, that's QPR. Left back, we had Nathan Byrne, Championship. And then left wing, we had Christian Chabalas, who kind of ventured out and then now is making a lot of money in the Middle East. Our team was disgusting. But then the best stuff was that you would verse teams, and first team players would come down. So I played at West Ham Stadium against Andy Carroll.
Yeah, well.
And that was not fun.
How much bigger than
He's
you
a
was
giant.
Yeah.
And that was before protein shakes, so I was still a dweeb. If I had to say the most impressive people that are actually on my team, man, like Andros Townsend is a freak.
Yeah.
Harry Kane developed into a freak.
How was that? Like, see someone there that you played with back then is one of the most recognisable names in world football at the moment.
Yeah.
Best striker in the Premier League right now.
Like the first week that I was there, I remember we were playing a small-sided game, and I was like, just one of those days where you're on form and everything you're hitting is. And I remember him saying to me, like, listen, like when we come close, you shoot, because like you're better than me at shooting.
Yeah, well, you gotta claim that.
Yeah, fast forward 5 years, and the guy's the most successful striker probably, but he was, his attitude, man. He would bag of balls every day after training. Same shot, shooting at the net, and you just think like, bro, come on, man, it's cold. Yeah. But now, he's Harry Kane.
Yeah, so that's something we've spoken about heaps here in the podcast. Like, I know what it's like at a lot of the A-League clubs where you're not allowed to do the extras over there. Is that something that you've seen when you were over there, obviously at those clubs, to see these were the ones that had these training habits and then went on to become this?
Yeah,
100% between it.
100%. I think one major thing that I saw, especially at the higher level, is that like people had like killer instinct attitude. Like Andros Townsend wanted to win, and if you didn't let him win, he would kill you. Yeah. Like, it was, no matter if you were the coach, CEO, chairman, Danny Levy, anything. I've seen him throw bins, flip out, just because he wants to start, he wants to win, he wants to do it. And there's that side of things, which is like bred for a successful person. And then there's just people like Tom Carroll. Love him. Such a good bloke, real humble, but he knows his strength. He's not going to body anybody. He's not going to outrun anybody. So he has to be magnificent on the ball. Yep. And he just was. Ryan Mason, freak. So unfortunate about his head injury, but he was a freak. These people just stayed back and mastered what they were good at. And Harry Kane was slow at the time, chubby at the time, and just thought, I can smack a ball really hard. Yep. So he would just get a bag of balls and he'd just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And we'd be eating, because you eat like on the second level, viewing the pitch and just thinking like, okay, bro, like, relax. Come on, man. Like, you've been out there for 20 minutes, and he would just go on and go on and go on and go on and go on. And now, the guy scores left, front, and center, but that repetition has allowed him to do that. And like sometimes, like you said, with a lot of clubs, they say, oh, no extras, or like it's too. But I get it. I get you have to save yourself for the weekend, and don't be stupid. But for me, there's no problem in trying to perfect your craft.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we hear from everybody across the men's game, the women's game. That unfortunately it's frowned upon here.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like globally, in more professional environments and elite environments, it's encouraged.
Yeah.
And in here, it's like, oh no, you're overload. We're, like, it's like, well,
But
how are you meant to
look
get
at,
better?
Best practice at the biggest clubs in the world. If they're doing that at these clubs, why are we not doing this at our level?
But I remember like at the AIS, I was like trying to work hard to get into the team, and I remember I was like doing extra gym sessions and going to there was like a dome with a synthetic pitch, and my coach came out to me and banned it, said you can't do it anymore, and I was like thinking to myself, I thought you'd come up to me and be like,
well
bro,
done.
you're smashing it,
Yeah.
but like, now you're banning me from doing it. It's like I can't do it, So it's I don't know why we have this like mentality, but it seems to be spread across Australia a little bit.
Yeah, it's like just embedded in that football culture. When you go to the elite level, it's just like, oh no, don't save yourself, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
We can't afford you to, be tired this weekend.
And I think like we have loads of sports science knowledge, and I understand the statistic about like running and the work ethic. But when you're in your 20s and you've played football your whole life, me shooting for 50 minutes or me running for 50 minutes takes two drastically different tolls on my body.
Yeah, 100%.
So me staying back and saying, hey, I just want to pass it to me short. I just want to practice pinging right foot, left foot. I want to practice my diags. No.
Yeah.
I can do.
Yeah.
My quadricep knows how to do that. It's been doing that the whole time. It's when you tell me to stay back and then bomb on 55 times. That's something I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
it's okay for me to do that.
Yeah.
Like Harry doing the shooting, he's not going to wake up the next morning thinking, oh my God, I can't move.
I shouldn't have done that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's okay.
Yeah.
You stay within reason. But yeah, I don't know where that's seeped in, but
Yeah.
So what's the plans for the future? What's the end goal?
Back to Italy.
Oh my God, no, thank you. Nah, to be honest, I'm really happy at the moment. Even like when I watch games and I hear like because I watch back my games all the time, see what I did wrong, see what I did right, and even the narrative about me now is starting to be where I want it to be.
Yep.
I'm glad. So I'm starting to feel like I'm becoming the role and the player that I wanted to be. And I kind of just, I hope that like there's players that I admire, like, Mile Jednak and Kante and Alan for Napoli, Jorginho. These midfielders who I feel like towards the towards the back end of their 20s, they started to really find their feet. And then you can't picture the game, that team without them. And that's kind of what I want to develop into. But if I had to say the journey or what I want right now, I'm just hoping that I'm a part of the story that is Central Coast being back to where it,
We're getting a lot of coverage in that. I seen you even had the microphone on while you were doing the warm up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I know. And then right when the camera went on me, I missed a shot. And I was like, awesome, of course.
Did you hear he goes, leave that for the run
Back
of the far
post.
post.
Yeah, I was like, of course that happened. Yeah, cheers.
That's awesome, man. We do hope you have a good season and you follow your journey with staying with the Mariners and helping them achieve what they want to achieve. It's been absolutely awesome having you here. You're an awesome storyteller. So it was good. You kept me and Steve entertained. We didn't have to do much talking.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good, man. There's some awesome stories. Hopefully you got plenty. You create more stories as you play, and we'll see you around shortly.
See you back in the off season.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I'll definitely be seeing a lot of you in the off season. Cheers, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure.